The door shuts behind you. Heavy, final. No windows, no clocks, no way to measure time. Men stand in silence around you, faces unreadable, dressed in black. One step forward, his voice is calm, controlled. You can still walk away. Your heart pounds too late. A blindfold tightens over your eyes. You're no longer just curious. Now you're being tested. And what happens next determines whether you're worthy or forgettable. Level 1: the outsider, the curious. Before any ritual, before any secrets, you're just a man on the outside looking in. You've heard whispers, not from movies but from real life. Business leaders, politicians, men with quiet influence, they don't talk about it directly, but you notice patterns. Symbols, handshakes, connections. You start asking questions. Not too many, that would be a mistake. Because the first rule you learn isn't written anywhere, it's observed. Power doesn't advertise itself. Daily reality. You research late nights, forums, books, old archives. You learn about ancient rituals, moral codes, and brotherhood structures. It feels less like a clubby and more like a system built to filter people. You realize something unsettling. Not everyone gets in. And those who do are chosen carefully. Curiosity turns into obsession. You start seeing the world differently, networks instead of individuals, influence instead of coincidence. You wonder, who around you is already inside? And why didn't they tell you? Risks and consequences. You push too hard, you get ignored. Ask the wrong person, you get labeled. Because desperation is weakness, and weakness doesn't pass unseen. Eventually, someone notices you. Not because you asked, but because you didn't. A conversation begins, casual, controlled. You're not being invited. You're being evaluated. And you don't even realize the test has already started. Level 2: the petitioner, the seeker. It happens quietly. A man you respect, successful, composed, mentions something in passing. Have you ever considered joining something bigger? That's the moment. Daily reality. You submit your interest. Not online, not publicly. Through people. Your name, your background, your reputation, it all gets examined. Not just what you've done, but who you are when no one's watching. You wait. Weeks, sometimes months. No updates. No feedback. Just silence. This is where most people fail. Because waiting exposes you. Impatience, ego, doubt. You start questioning yourself. Why haven't they responded? Did I say something wrong? Am I not good enough? But here's the truth. They're not testing your achievements. They're testing your discipline. Pattern interrupt. One night you get the call. No explanation. Just a time, a location. Formal attire required. No questions. Your pulse spikes. This just became real. Risks and consequences. At this stage, rejection is quiet but permanent. No explanation, no appeal. You simply don't hear back again. And that silence says everything. Path forward. You show up. On time, composed, controlled. Because now you're stepping into a system that rewards those who can operate under pressure without losing themselves. Level 3: the initiate, ENTERED, apprentice. You're inside. But you still can't see. The blindfold returns. Voices echo around you, instructions, symbolic actions, questions that feel simple but carry weight. Why are you here? Your answer matters more than you think. This is your introduction, but not to secrets. To structure. You learn rituals, symbols, language. Everything has meaning, but nothing is explained directly. You're expected to observe, to think. To earn understanding. Psychological state. Confusion. Then curiosity. Then something deeper. You realize this isn't about power. It's about control. Control of your emotions, your reactions, your impulses. Because a man who can't control himself can't be trusted with anything else. During one ritual, you hesitate. Just for a second. But they notice. The room goes silent. That's when it hits you. Every movement is being watched. Every reaction recorded. There are no mistakes here, only signals. You break composure, you lose respect. You act arrogantly, you stop progressing. You treat this like a game, you're out. Not officially, but permanently sidelined. You adapt. You listen more than you speak. You learn to operate in silence. And slowly they begin to trust you. Level 4, the craftsman fellow craft. Now things change. You're no longer just observing. You're participating. Daily reality. You attend meetings regularly. Discussions become deeper, less symbolic, more philosophical. Ethics, responsibility, influence. You start forming real connections. Not surface-level networking. Strategic relationships. Men who can open doors without saying a word. Psychological state. Confidence grows. You feel like you belong. But with that comes something dangerous. Ego. You start thinking you understand the system. That you're progressing faster than others. That you're different. And that's exactly when people slip. Pattern interrupt. A fellow member, someone who joined before you, disappears. No explanation. No farewell. Just gone. You ask about him. The response is cold. Some men aren't ready for what this requires. That's when you realize. This isn't just about joining. It's about enduring. Trust is fragile. One wrong move, gossip, disrespect, breaking confidentiality, and your reputation collapses. Not publicly, but internally. And in a system built on reputation. That's worse. You prove consistency. You show loyalty not through words but behavior. You become reliable. Predictable under pressure. And that's when they consider moving you higher. Level 5, the master mason, the insider. This is where most stop. Not because they can't go further, but because this level already changes everything. You now understand the system. Not just the rituals but the structure behind them. You're trusted. Invited into deeper conversations. You see how influence flows quietly, efficiently. Decisions aren't always made in boardrooms. Sometimes they're shaped long before that. This is the shift. You stop seeking validation. Because now you have access. And access changes how you see the world. You realize power isn't loud. It's controlled, subtle, patient. You're offered an opportunity. Not directly. A business deal, a connection, a favor. Nothing illegal. But significant. This is your first real test of loyalty versus self-interest. Do you take it? Or do you question why it was offered? Because in this world, nothing is random. Misuse your position and you're isolated. Not expelled. Worse. Ignored. Opportunities stop coming. Doors quietly close. And you'll never know why. Path forward. You play it carefully. You understand one thing. At this level, you're no longer being tested for entry. You're being tested for power. Level 6, the officer, the operator. You're no longer just a member. Now you're part of the machine that runs everything. Daily reality. You hold responsibility. Meetings don't just happen, you help organize them. Rituals don't just exist, you enforce them. New members don't just join, you evaluate them. You're watching others the same way you were once watched. Quietly, constantly. You learn how information flows inside the system, who speaks, who listens, who actually decides. And something becomes clear. Not everyone in the room holds equal weight. Some men talk. Others shape outcomes. Control replaces curiosity. You feel sharper, more aware. You can read people faster, predict behavior, spot weakness. But with that awareness comes distance. You start separating yourself from outsiders, even from lower ranks. Because now you understand something dangerous. Connection is leverage. And leverage is power. One evening, a candidate you supported gets rejected. Not because he failed. Because someone above you said no. No explanation. No discussion. Just a quiet override. That's when it hits you. You have authority but not control. Not yet. You misuse influence, you get corrected. You challenge the wrong person, you get remembered. Not publicly, but permanently. Because higher levels don't react emotionally. They observe and adjust your position accordingly. You stop trying to stand out. Instead, you become precise. Calculated. You support the system, not your ego. And slowly, the system begins to trust you with more than just responsibility. It trusts you with influence. Level 7, the inner circle, the strategist. You've crossed a line most never reach. You're no longer just operating within the structure. You're helping shape it. Smaller rooms, fewer voices. Conversations shift from philosophy to strategy. Who gets invited? Who gets ignored? Which relationships matter? Which ones are liabilities? You begin to see how external power connects to internal networks. Business politics influence. Not controlled but aligned. And alignment is everything. This is where the real transformation happens. You stop thinking in days. You think in years. Every move is long-term. Every relationship an investment. Trust becomes rare. Because now you understand. Everyone here is capable. Everyone here is ambitious. And not everyone here is loyal. A conflict surfaces. Two respected members. Same level. Different visions. It doesn't explode. There's no argument. Just a quiet shift. One of them slowly loses access. Invitations stop. Conversations move without him. Within weeks, he's irrelevant. That's when you learn the most brutal rule so far. Power doesn't remove you. It replaces you. At this level, mistakes aren't obvious. They're subtle. Misjudging someone. Trusting too quickly. Backing the wrong outcome. And the consequences. You don't fall instantly. You fade. Influence erodes. My voice weakens. Until one day you're still present. But no longer important. You become selective. Measured. You speak less, but when you do, it matters. And that's when the final door begins to open. Not to be more responsible, but to isolation. Level 8, the Grand Master The Architect. This is the peak. Not just of rank, but of understanding. You don't attend every meeting. You don't need to. Your presence alone carries weight. Decisions form around you, even when you're not in the room. You don't chase influence. You define its direction. People don't approach you casually anymore. Every interaction is intentional. Measured. Because at this level, nothing is random. This is where the cost becomes clear. You have access, respect, authority, but very little trust. Because now you see everything. Ambition in every conversation. Strategy in every friendship. Even loyalty comes with conditions. And the higher you rise, the fewer people you can truly rely on. A decision lands on your table. A serious one. It affects someone below you. Someone loyal. Someone competent. But the system requires a sacrifice. Not for punishment. For balance. You hesitate. Just for a moment. And in that moment, you understand the final transformation. Leadership isn't about fairness. It's about stability. And sometimes stability demands loss. You make the call. Quietly. Efficiently. And you never discuss it again. At the top, failure doesn't look like collapse. It looks like erosion. Doubt spreads silently. Confidence weakens. And once people sense uncertainty, they start preparing for what comes after you. Because even at the highest level, no position is permanent. There is no next level. Only maintenance. Sustain the system. Protect the structure. And most importantly, control yourself. Because one emotional decision can undo years of silent power. You started as an outsider. Curious, observing, wanting access. Now you're here. At the top. And the question changes. It's no longer, how do I get in? It becomes, was it worth it? Because along the way things shifted. You became more controlled. More strategic. More aware. But also more distant. More guarded. More alone. You learned that power isn't about domination. It's about discipline. About knowing when to act and when to stay silent. About understanding that influence doesn't need recognition. And loyalty is never as simple as it seems. At lower levels you fear rejection. At mid-levels you chase advancement. At higher levels you fear irrelevance. And at the top, you fear nothing. Except losing control. Now think about it. If you were given the chance to enter this system, to rise through its levels, to gain access, influence, and silent power, would you take it? Would you survive the pressure? Or would the system slowly reshape you into someone you don't recognize? And more importantly, which level do you think you'd reach before it changes you completely?